Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Animorphs Reviews YouTube channel. And we're doing another live stream. So I'm making sure that everything's working, and it's working. It is apparently working. So let's just hope. No, that's not it. Could I use that? No, I don't know. Where's the chat box? There's usually a chat box somewhere around here. How do I do it again? There is a way. I know that there's a way. If I pop out the chat. Oh, hello, Nitro. How are you? Good day. And all that. So if I just make this a bit smaller, like that, then move it up here a bit. Still getting used to this old live chat game. If I do that, and then maybe if I just... Oh, no, that's not going to work, is it? How are we all doing, by the way? We're going to do some more drinking today. Hopefully not as manic as last time. The chat is here. Yes, Ultimate Fiddle Player. Good to have you back. Sean is with us. I am with us. Pebbles in the background. Probably going to... Yeah?
Can you say bottle of water, please?
She wants me to say bottle of water. Bottle,
Say bottle of water for Hillary.
bottle of water.
You're welcome.
Bottle of water. That's how we say it in Britain. Yes, bottle of water. Right, today we're going to watch a video, which has sort of been on my radar for a while, but I never actually got around to watching it. It's by a guy called... Won't let you increase the resolution from 144... Okay, hold on. Hold on a tick. I don't think I can change that. How can I... It, it should be fine. Oh, you fixed it. Right, so it's not me. It's not me for a change. It's not me, it's you. Yeah!
My dear,
I win.
if one of my friends calls you, do you have to drink?
If one... No, that's...
So you
I think the new rule is if you correct me on something, I have to drink.
oh, that happens all the time.
That doesn't happen all the time. It never happens. You never correct me on anything, ever. Because you're a woman and you're inferior.
Countries?
You what?
Oh, no, no, but the French have
The French? Yeah, Pebbles in the background. We're getting a cat tomorrow, aren't we?
We're getting a kitty.
We're getting a kitty.
Yeah.
And that's why you can see over there we've got a cat tree. So,
We're getting a
so maybe in the future you'll be seeing Fluffer Mc... That's going to be his nickname, by the way. Fluffer McKitty. So yeah, we're going to watch this video called Animorphs Was Cool by Luke. And he looks like a happy chap, so... oh, the stream's bitrate is lower than something. I don't freaking know. But yeah, I'm drinking Green King IPA. It's just this stuff here. We're drinking in fingers. And the forfeits are as follows. Modern political issues, 2 fingers. Character traits, 1 finger. TV show criticism, 4 fingers. 90s reference, 3 fingers. Movie talk, 2 fingers. Author mention, 1 finger. Something wrong, 2 fingers. Naughty talk, 2 fingers. And podcast name, 1 finger. So if he says Luke, basically that's 1 finger. And cinnamon buns is down your fucking drink, Sean. Yeah. So those are our rules. You're you and I'm me. And well, let's just crack on, shall we? I'm gonna probably have to bring back the chat in a second, unless I can sort of minimize the screen. I think I can do that. And I move that one there. So if I move that to the side, increase the size of that, it should be fine. Playing my OCD a bit, but there we go. That's the deal, everyone. So let's
Welcome to
go.
the show where I talk about things that I like for a long time. That's it. That's the entire premise of the show. I just talk about things that I like. And today we're going
Cool.
to be talking about
Animorphs.
because I really like Animorphs.
Cool.
Animorphs was a book series that was originally written primarily for children and primarily for the
Do you want to drink if you're being cringe?
Yeah, I have to drink if I'm cringe. So you have to keep a track on my cringe, okay?
Scholastic series by Catherine Applegate and Michael Clark.
Wait, what? Michael Clark?
They wrote it as a duo, husband.
Michael Clark? Is this some hidden lore I'm missing? Deary me. But anyway, that's author mentioned, that's One Finger. And I know both were mentioned, but it's in the same bit. So One Finger, everyone, drink.
Wife author duo. It's very, very sweet. Anyway, I'm sorry if you can hear those. There's somebody dying
Man's using Audacity in the background. I approve.
out there. But anyway, to the story. Animorphs was in my top reads as a kid because there were a lot of them. By the time I came to an age where I was interested in reading, I was in like 6th grade, and every one of them had been published because they were published from 1996 to 2000.
I've just noticed. Sorry about clearing my throat, by the way. I am a smoker, so, you know, it's, bad habit.
What do you guys on your boss?
Oh, sorry, Pamela's talking in the background to her weird American friends. Ugh. Who'd want to be friends with Americans? God. Anyway, I've just noticed that this guy's got 10 likes on the video, but 3 thumbs down. That's an unusual ratio for videos of this size on this sort of topic. It's usually like at least 90% positive, even on my videos. Is that Chrono Trigger music in the video? I don't know what the music is, Nitro. But yeah, I wonder if he says anything controversial in this. Either way, he's got a good microphone setup, good voice. I like his shirt, but there's a weird, like, light coming from here. I think he's got a softbox just right here, but it's not actually showing that much on his face. In fact, it's coming from the right hand side of the screen, but there's just a weird glowy bit here. It's weird.
One with a lot of companion books like Megamorphs, and another one. I think there's like 70 books total. Probably already said the right number and forgot it, so
That's technically something wrong, which is 2 fingers. I know it was just a guesstimate, but it's something, it's wrong. So 2 fingers, everyone drink.
the point is it was this, Fear Street, and Hank the Cowdog. Those were my big 3 as a kid, and I just adored the sci-fi adventure fantasy. And
By the way, thank you for the
I
person
know,
who
like,
liked
Fear
the
Street was,
video.
like,
Please
murder,
remember
like,
to
ooh,
like it if you're here.
yeah. But
Let's go. Take me home, man. Going to listen while I drive. Okay, I'll try not to distract. Look out for the car next to you. It's a Honda Jazz. Better run. Sorry, that was Don't tell Pamela that was cringe.
Animorphs could get dark. And to be perfectly honest, I mean, I liked the books.
Yeah, don't
once
drink
I
and
read
drive,
them. The
as
real reason
I won't
anybody
recommend
picked
that.
up a book was the cover. And Goosebumps had like these cool artistic covers. Fear Street.
Thank
had
you for the
these
likes,
cool,
guys. Got 4
like,
already.
oh,
Awesome.
somebody killed somebody covers. And Hank Cowdog had Hank the Cowdog.
Hank the Cowdog.
Animorphs just had this. And we all recognize this image. Everybody in my age bracket, everybody that
Yep,
I've ever
that's true.
known, knows what this is. And there isn't an exception that I've found. Even if you've never read the books. And that's some pretty iconic imagery, you know? And earlier I did mention the Ghost Riders, but I don't mean to mention that to like take away from the significance of these books, you know? They never hid away from the fact that a lot of these books were ghost written. As a matter of
He said ghostwriters. Does that count as author mention? I mean, technically, and it's in a different context, so... Hello, the Jaded. How are you today? I hope you're all fine, by the way. I hope you're all having a good February. It's just started. I've started today. Well, no, I did an analysis video today on the Chi because I'm preparing for the Chi-spiracy video, which hopefully I'll get done next week. It's a big project because there's a lot of research. I've basically had to go through all the books and find every little bit of information I needed. Oh, so yeah, I've just finished doing the analysis video today. I will do a dome ship one, as promised. Anyway, 1 finger for off mention, drink.
fact, there's special thanks in a lot of these books at the back of them, if you look, to the Ghost Rider. And most of them knew Catherine or Michael. And it was usually due to, like, Catherine or Michael being unable physically, due to either health reasons or
Aforementioned
personal
drink.
reasons, to actually like finish the books more than an outline. And for that, I mean, you got to respect that to an extent in an industry and in an era where where people give a lot of shit to people who have their content ghost written, you just own it, and it suddenly isn't an issue anymore. You know, I'm sure it wasn't.
Yes, Cheesespiracy is on the horizon. In fact, I'll bring it up. Um, right, so I'm going to give you a brief look. So here's the page of all the research I've done, all the little bits. That's all you're getting. There you are. I'm just seeing that playback. Yeah, I've done a lot of research, and today I did the analysis video because it's a general overview on the chi. It didn't require as much, so I'm giving myself another week to really put together the pros and cons to this argument because I'm going to balance it. You know, I've said a lot about the Cheesespiracy and the Chia bastards, this, that, and t'other. I'm still not completely convinced, so I'm going to be arguing with myself, really, debating it with myself. But that should be a fun video. It's been in the making for a while, and I think I've gotten to the point where a lot of people know the Cheesespiracy theory, so it'd be nice to get that video bang out there as a sort of an essay almost. But that would be the second Annie theory video. Looking forward to
An
it.
issue. I'm sure somebody decided to make a stink out of it once they realized how big the book series was getting, but either way.
Hi,
And
Geek Truth. Hope you're all right.
Preface: there was also
How you
apparently
doing?
a live-action TV
Remember
show
to
that
like
aired
this
on
video, guys,
Nickelodeon
if
from
you're watching.
98 to 99.
Let's get to 10 likes.
Didn't
I'll
know that
drink to that.
existed until I started researching for this video. I'm not going to be talking about that, but I may watch it at some point just to see how terribly it probably held up. And also, fun fact, there is a live-action movie in the works for Animorphs.
Yes.
Turns out that Catherine and Michael have since left the project due to creative differences on the show, which is always a great sign.
Right, so there are two forfeits there. We hardly ever get movie talk, but that is one of the forfeits. That's 2 fingers. And another author mention, that's 3 fingers. So if you're watching and you're drinking, you know the bizzo. What should they do? What should they do? Drink, 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 Pebble says.
It's always good when the original director or creators of a piece, of a thing, leave because y'all are messing it up too fucking bad.
Right, I will say this to Luke. The Shining. It's always my example. Stephen King hated the Shining movie, but it is the classic. And then Stephen King went and made his own version, and it was nowhere near as good. So it's not like every time it's been a disaster. Sometimes an author being separated from the project can be a good thing. I'm not saying that's going to be the case. I hope it's the case because Michael and Catherine have left, and I want the movie to be good. So I hope that it is one of those exceptions. Everyone had problems with Thrift Books and Ave Books. I got the whole series in the meantime from a single German person, 7 books. I don't know. I don't know the specifics of that. The Jaded. My apologies.
So, we're just going to be talking about the books, and we're going to be talking about.
Remember,
a lot
guys,
of
like the
my
video.
own
If we get to
personal
10 likes,
opinions. A lot of it's not
I'll do some
objective
extra
fact.
drinking.
So if you came for that, sorry. Now, I've mentioned it before, like I mentioned it at the top of the video, but Animorphs was a lot darker than a lot of other kids' shows at the time, or kids' books. Primarily in the way that it did not shy away at all from the fact.
By the way,
that there was
is the
war.
volume
I mean,
all right,
that was
guys?
the point of the book.
If there's a
The
problem,
story
do tell me.
Was about war at its
That was something wrong. Let's be honest. 2 fingers.
core, at its absolute like center. It was about war and the horrors that it causes, about the tragedies
Drink,
that characters
everyone.
face and how they have to overcome them. And the characters are the best thing about this book.
I agree with that.
Because due to the nature of the story, they all change. They all grow. They all become more, you know? They start out as very tropey, very 90s. It's still very 90s even at the end of it, but
90s reference. Give me a second. I'll drink to that. 90s reference is 3 fingers. Jesus. Right, what's the Jaded saying? Including Absolute, Sacrifice, Ultimate, and Visa, but random ones like Separation or Weakness as well. Maybe other watchers know what's wrong there. Well, I'll tell you what's right. The later books are very rare. And the Separation and the Weakness, probably shouldn't exist. I mean, the separation, it's bad, but it's not that bad. The weakness is just, what the fuck was going on there? People have tried. People have tried to justify it whilst at the same time acknowledging that it's shit. They've sort. Who was it who commented on my channel the other day? Somebody was talking about how it relates to stuff in the capture, how they become dependent on Jake. So when he does leave later in the series, they can't handle it as well as they did at the start of the series. But they still acknowledge that the book is crap. And I think I've met anybody who says that they liked the weakness. Do you remember that book?
What?
The Weakness.
What about it?
Do you remember it? No. Pebble's reading the books at the moment. You've just read up to book 5, up to book 6 even. And your favourite is The Message?
Yeah.
Controversial. Very controversial. Right, what am I drinking to? It was 90s reference, which is 3 fingers. Drink, everyone, and if your name doesn't rhyme with purple, you drink 8 fingers.
It's just like, oh, there's
What do you mean?
Jake, the pop.
What do you mean I can't do that?
8 fingers.
Yeah.
That's too much.
All right, 7.
Borderline cringe.
It's not. No, that's you can't call that cringe. You missed a cringe from earlier.
Did I?
Yes. So you got to pay more attention, dear soon-to-be wife. Right, 3 fingers, everyone.
Popular guy. There's Rachel, the popular girl. Tobias, the shy loner who happens to also be attractive enough to attract Rachel, the popular girl. You get my point. It's very tropey. But, you know what? Let's start with Tobias. So, Tobias is the shy bully magnet. Like, he's just like, oh, I'm so sensitive.
That's emo. That is emo, and that's a character trait forfeit. I don't think he's like, I'm so sensitive. No, he's not. He's not a Twitter user. But yeah, I need to finish the next finger for 90s reference, and then the Tobias ones. That's 2 fingers.
I don't like people. He's very emo, you know?
He's gone and said it. He's gone and said it. Right, if you're watching this and you haven't pressed the like button, why haven't you? Come
From
on.
a place of where I
Chop,
used to.
chop.
The fact is that he is immediately given consequences. He is immediately shown. Also, fair warning before I go any further, because I just realized I hadn't said it yet.
Spoilers.
There will be spoilers.
Spoilers, yeah.
I don't shy away from spoilers.
I should do a
don't
forfeit for spoilers.
think
Or
at
mentioning
this point,
spoilers.
that this
Mentioning
is
the
something that
mention of
people
spoilers.
are going to be like dying to read.
Mentioning the
been on
mention
market
of
for
mentioning of
20
spoilers.
It's been completed
of
for 20
spoilers.
years. Like, you've had your chance.
You missed a cringe.
I did not miss a cringe.
I just did a cringe.
Well, then great.
Well, no, because you didn't pick it out, so it doesn't count.
Anyway,
She's
in
missing all the
very
cringe
first
over
mission,
here.
in the very first, if I'm remembering correctly, book, Tobias stays in the form of a red-tailed hawk. And to give a brief
red-tailed
rundown
hawk.
of what that means is, so they're granted the power to morph, and they can morph into any animal that they've touched. And they all kind of get.
By the way, I
into
hope the
groove.
video
They start
quality's
touching
alright, guys. I
different
hope you're
animals, storing
enjoying
DNA.
this.
Tobias gets a red.
Tell me how you're
red-tailed
feeling
hawk
today.
who's using it to scalp, and he ends up.
Tell me what your favourite book is.
Captured or trapped or something.
Here's the thing. Ooh, let's do a poll. How do I do a... here we go. So I'm going to do a poll for you lot. Are the Chi double agents? Did I do it? Where's the poll? Where'd the poll go? I just asked a question. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. Cool. I need to move that up, actually. Right, so we've got that poll
And he
going.
is
So answer that
stuck
poll
in
if
this
you're
form
still watching.
for the remainder of the series because he stayed in for 2 hours, which is too long. In most other kids series, At some point, he
We've
would
already
have had
got
a
a
happy
voting for
ending. At
yes.
some point, he would have
The
gotten
cheer
back his human
bastards.
body, and that would have been his like real body. You know, Animorphs doesn't give a shit about your feelings. He is a
Yeah.
hawk for the rest of the series. There are several times in
I'm looking for the point where he says something controversial because there are 3 dislikes to 10 up likes. And that sort of ratio implies that he annoyed people. Because when I do a video and it annoys the Twitter mob, I usually get, well, I don't get that sort of ratio. I get like 90% like as opposed to 95 to 100. Because if you say anything that annoys the Twitterati, then you get an extra couple of dislikes. And looking at that, that's a Animorphs Twitterati ratio. You know, the 3 of them got angry and thought, I'm gonna fucking downvote this video. Fucking yeah, I'm waiting to see why.
the
Why the
series
3
where
dislikes?
Tobias actively tries
By the way, guys, because he's got those 3 dislikes, let's fucking change that. If you're watching now, go find this video by Luke. Animorphs was cool, and if you like what you're watching, go give him a thumbs up and show him your support.
to commit suicide by flying into glass and trying to kill himself that way, and then he disassociates and loses himself to the mind of the hawk and goes into the woods and lives for a few days and desperately wants to bang a female hawk. It's really fucked up.
That's that's naughty talk. Is that a for? That is not. That is a forfeit. Just gonna move that there. Oh, what have I done? What has one done? I'm just gonna move this. I'm constantly adjusting, guys. Constantly adjusting. Jaded says favorite is split between departure and return. By far, good choices. Good choices. The return often gets a bad rap from the community, but I think it's an absolute banger. It certainly brought Rachel's character back on track. Ah, the Twitter pestilence that thinks 0.01% of the population get to decide about education, debate, and language for the rest of eternity by criteria even vague to themselves. Yeah, pretty much. These people that think that Animorphs is some sort of safe space. You have different views than me. You're not an Animorphs fan. Oh, sod off. Grow up, for Christ's sake. Seriously? They'll come up to you and say, you can't be a true fan because you don't agree with my opinions. Nah, sod off. Ah, sod off. You're a fucking controller, aren't you? Right, where am I? Was I drinking? What was I drinking to? What did he say?
and goes into the woods and lives for a
Naughty talk, that was it. So, 2 fingers for that. Drink, everyone.
few days and desperately wants to bang a female hawk. It's really fucked up. Like, it's really messed up. At the end of the series, him and Rachel are like together, right? They've attracted each other over the course of the series, and they're just like, oh wow, I sure do love you, Tobias. Thanks, Rachel. I sure do love you too, even though I'm a hawk.
Even though I'm a
But
hawk.
then
A hawk.
it doesn't work out. Like, not that they break up. No, no, no.
Your eye thing has gone. Sorry, I'm just pointing out Pebble's flaws.
Then that's drink.
That's a drink, is it? Fine. All right. For being naughty to Pebble, I have to drink. By the way, guys, like the video. If I get to 10 likes, I'd drink more. Animorphs is a temple for. I'm not even going to read that because no, they'll kick off again. They'll kick off again. I can't do. I don't. They just freaking annoy me. I'm gonna ignore them from now
No,
on.
no, no. I mean, they were meant to be, obviously.
Oh yeah, drink for
But
me annoying Pebble.
Tobias A still can't be a person. He can morph back into a human later. Like, he regains the ability to morph after losing it. But I guess the best way to put it would be, is now a hawk. Like, that is who he is. That is his true
Oh.
body.
By the way, I'm gonna do what I said you should go do. And I'm gonna leave a like because I am enjoying it. Luke, done a good job. He said the camera messed up a few times over the course of the video, so the lighting and position of the camera changes a bit. So sorry about that, but I'll also probably be making more of these, so I'll get it right next time, probably. Don't worry, mate. It's clear to me.
As far
I
as
like
the
it.
morphing is concerned, meaning he always has to turn back to the Hawk. So even whenever he goes back to human to spend time with Rachel, he's not a human. He is a Hawk. And he has to go back to that. But then, okay, let's talk about Rachel real quick, since
Rachel.
we're seeing a natural progression here.
So if he mentions Rachel's impulsiveness, that's a finger forfeit.
Rachel is, once again, like the talented, like, oh, I do gymnastics and I'm hot and I'm strong and I'm, oh, fuck yeah, dude, I'm cool. That's her character.
Is that what she's like?
And it starts out
Oh, Rachel's like, oh, fuck yeah, dude, I'm cool. I don't think it's, I think I quite like that characterization of her. You alright over there? Headache. Do you want me to be quieter? Okay. Remember to point out my cringe. I'm not always cringe, that's a
very much
lie.
like she's just a Heather. Like, she is the #1 bitch, she's bad bitch, and she will take you down. But that very quickly escalates for Rachel.
Jaded says, yeah, Return was an absolute blast. I am theorizing that Rachel was meant to become split between the Animorphs and Super Wolverine Rachel starting in 32. It was just executed horribly somehow. Yeah. Book 32 sort of ruined Rachel. Because her character was a bit confused at that point, and then it just sort of turned her into nice Rachel and mean Rachel. And that was it. And then book 37 came along, and it was that sort of schizophrenic bouncing between those two without it officially being her split into two characters. It was weird. And then 42 came along, waste of a book. Half of it was narrated by Marco. So the return actually finally brought her back to something. Something. And it was done really well. And who was it who did that one again? It wasn't Kimberly Morris. I forget which ghostwriter it was. It might have been Lisa Harkrader. Might have been. Kimberly Morris, by the way, brilliant. Absolutely. I think it was actually Kimberly Morris. I think Kimberly Morris did 48, 50, and 52. 3 absolute bangers. And 38, which was The Arrival, which was your favourite book. Pebble's favourite book was 38, and that was a Kimberly Morris one. She did awesome books. Awesome. 38, yeah. The Arrival. That's The Experiment. 28's The Experiment. Yeah. I will do a ranking of. I will do a ghostwriter ranking video, ranking the ghostwriters, and I think everybody probably already knows Kimberly Morris is going to be top of that. Average score, she averages higher than the original authors, but then again, she only had 4 books, so it's a bit unfair.
She very, very quickly starts reveling in the excitement of battle and morphing and, like, ripping things limb from limb, killing people. And she's just like, at first, it's just adrenaline. I'm just excited. It's just because it's a natural thing. My body's dealing with it that way.
Oh, I'm going to call that an impulsive trait mention, so that's one finger. Drink, everyone.
But as the series progresses, it is outright stated that Rachel cannot live in a world without killing. Like, when the war's over, she doesn't know if she's going to be okay not being able to kill people.
He's got it.
Several times in the series, Jake uses her as a weapon, like, directly, because he knows that she will kill people. But Jake actively uses
What was he looking at there? He just sort of looked off screen. There was no explanation, but that was a character trait for Jake's leadership, so that's one finger. Drink.
Against the Yeerks, which are the aliens. I haven't said them yet because I'm all over the place in this video. I've got a script, but I'm not really following it because I'm an idiot. But
He's like me. He's all over the place. He's got a script, but he's an idiot. That's me. That's me. I write a semi-script and then I just sort of ramble on for ages, don't I? What? You're not supposed to agree with that.
the point is that it's not hinted to. It's not alluded to. It is directly stated that Rachel has gone from, oh, well, maybe, I just get excited to, I just like to kill. It's alarming, but I like to kill. I like to murder. And she never shows remorse for her kills.
Oh, she never shows remorse for her kills? Rachel. Oh, I wouldn't say that she doesn't show remorse.
Shouldn't show it outwardly at all.
I don't think. I think that's wrong. He's basically just said Rachel. Excuse me. Rachel doesn't show remorse for her kills, and thing is, I can't say 100% definite because that's looking into the minor details of the books of her narrations. That's single sentence sort of stuff. I can't confirm or deny that, so I'm not going to drink to it.
Remorse for feeling no remorse, but she's never just like, oh, I wish I could have saved them. No, she's fine with it. She's totally chill. And to be perfectly honest, she needed to be. Like, it's just how it is. Now, going from Rachel to Jake, Jake is
Jake.
your typical, like, reluctant leader. He's related to Rachel, he's their cousin.
By the way, that's a leadership trait. One finger, drink.
And he's also very much I'm tall and handsome, and I'm a good guy. I save people from bullies. I don't bully. That kind of thing. And he's reluctant to be the leader at first because he doesn't want that responsibility. But then he's given a very good reason in order to get like that leadership position and take it seriously, and he becomes a good leader. And I mean that very like legitimately. He makes very hard decisions a lot of the time. He questions himself, but then ultimately does decide to go with the more pragmatic option. For being kids, for being teenagers, the Animorphs make some of the best war decisions that I can think of in like modern media.
Oh, that's a big claim. The Animorphs make some of the best war decisions in modern media. No, they make some of the shittest decisions.
Book 3, let's turn into a fish and go through that way.
If you didn't hear, Pebble just said book 3, they turned into a trout to be sucked into a ship.
That was one of the worst decisions.
Yeah, a couple of things they got right, but for the most part, their ideas were stupid. But it was understandable because they're fucking kids. So I'm going to count that as something wrong. It's another half wrong, but you had a half wrong earlier, and together those make one wrong. So I'm going to count that. That's 2 fingers. Drinky doodle diddle daddle diddle 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 doo.
So we're gonna hang over. We gotta get Kitty tomorrow.
I won't get a hangover. I won't get a hangover. I did last time. Last time I live streamed. I got carried away last time because you kept making me drink for cringe, and I kept drinking when I got to a certain amount of likes, which I've said I've done today, but I'm not going to go. I think it was like I downed a pint if I got to 10 likes last time, and then suddenly, wham, 10 likes for that. I'm not going to make that promise today, but I will drink a couple of fingers if you get me to 8 likes. I'll drink an extra few fingers.
Because they're not making decisions like
2
a good
fingers,
example
drink.
would be Supernatural, right? So in Supernatural, there are several instances where if Sam or Dean was dead,
Did you ever watch Supernatural? What did you think of it?
I didn't really like either of the main characters.
You didn't like the main characters?
No.
I mean,
He was too whiny, and the other guy was too much of a man.
see, I liked it for like the first 3 seasons, and then I realised that every episode was the same. Find a hot chick, save her, the end. Basically every episode. Oh, girl has nice tits. Save her from the evil person. The end. Move on to next hot chick.
Pie.
The what?
Pie.
Pie? What pie?
Dean was obsessed with pie.
Dean was. It's been a long time since I watched it.
Whenever the other guy would bring back cake, he'd be pissed.
Oh. Jaden says, let's give them our blood and DNA in 49. Let's hand the blue box in 50. Let's abort, flush 17,000 entities and kill the same disabled kids we empowered in 53. Good war decisions there. That's blah, blah. Basically, that's what happened in World War One. Just a bunch of inept leaders just saying, send 1,000 men to their deaths. Bastards. World War One was a fucking mess. I wasn't there. I'm not that old. Jesus.
the entire world would be saved. But instead, they just don't kill each other because there's gotta be a way. Now, untold thousands are dead because of that decision, because you liked that person that you saved. But you could have just killed them and been done with it, and not have killed that many innocents. Animorphs don't think that way. They will straight up murder 1,000 people if it means saving 10,000 people. And the number one example of that, honestly, is Marco. Because Marco starts out as your, oh, look at me, I'm a silly little joke boy.
Right, Marco's character trait forfeit is jokes, and Luke just called him a silly little joke boy. I think that counts, doesn't it? One finger, everyone. Drink.
Ooh, comic relief, nothing I do is for real. But it turns out he's just doing.
I think Marco's jokes helped me form my personality a bit as a kid.
You reckon?
Well, because he always says either see things as funny or as sad, and I always chose to see them as funny.
Yeah, I read that bit the other day. It's in book 15. Number one Animorphs fan, by the way. Haha. In book 15, he talks about you can either see life as tragic and sad, or you can look at life and say pretty much everything is just funny. So might as well laugh at it.
Yeah, I think that helped a
I
lot.
think that's part of what formed me. You know me, I'll laugh at everything.
Oh my god!
If something tragic happens, I'll look at it and think, let's find something to laugh about it.
Yeah, and I guess I think I got from Cassie to try and look at the bright side of shit all the time.
Things I see myself in all sorts of. I see part of myself in Jake. I see part of myself in Marco, Cassie.
No,
Not so much the other three.
you have no Tobias, thank God.
I don't have. Really? I don't have Tobias.
No, he's annoying.
He is a bit annoying. Rachel? No. I don't think I'm a Rachel.
You're driven like her. I think.
No.
Like Marco.
More like Marco. And then there's Axe, who's just clueless.
Who do you think I'm like?
You're like Cassie.
Really?
Yeah.
Only?
See, now, two Animals fans talking about what each other. Who. So I'm like Jake, Marco, Cassie. You are Cassie.
I think I'm like Rachel when I get really angry.
No, I don't see Rachel in you.
Not at all.
No, I don't. I see a bit of Axe, but mostly because you're an American in Britain. You're just sort of stumbling around confused. Ah, what did that? That's what. Right, so I have to hold a hand at all times because you're not used to British pavements or roads or
I just expect people to get out of the way.
exactly.
If they're
You're
not looking, it's their fault.
See, you are very much like Axe because you're coming into a completely new culture and you're still just trying to get used to it. You're getting there. You're getting there. You're sort of late 30s, book 30s Axe at the moment.
What do your viewers think they're more like?
Yeah, viewers, what do you think you're like?
Which characters traits do you have?
Which characters are you? Right, so Ultimate Fiddle Player is a good question. How would the war have turned out if the parents were fighting instead of the kids? I don't know. That's an open ended. I don't think you can really answer that because they'd bring their own set of skills and they'd probably have more. They'd have more contacts for a start and more access, and they could drive. So it probably would have actually gone better, really. And they don't have school to worry about. They can just say, "I'm not going to my job anymore." They've got no parents to sort of report to every day and make sure that they're there. Yeah, I think it would have gone better actually. Jaded says, "I'm German, and in World War II we sent thousands to die after we already got our asses handed to us, and rightfully so." You're German. Jaded is German.
Better than French.
How dare you? Yeah, at least you're not French. But how dare you? Honestly. Now you're right. I can speak German. Guten Tag. Schnitzel. Uh, 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 yeah, that's about it. Bratwurst. Bratwurst. Oktoberfest.
That to kind of mask his underlying
Was that
misery
cringe?
and depression. I believe a quote from him
Was
is
it
something
cringe?
along the lines of,
It was a little bit
"If life is
a little bit cringe. One finger. Yeah, one finger for cringe there. Right, drink
It's going to be
everyone.
nothing but tragedy
No, it's
or
just me.
comedy. I'd rather see everything as comedy. And okay, that's a little dark, but it also gets darker because Marco
Jaded says, yeah, one of the shittiest countries there are in the West. No comment.
I
I
don't know.
no, I don't. I don't think that. No, on in all seriousness, Germany,
No, it's supposed to
mm,
better look in that area. I think.
very efficient. The Germans, very efficient.
They're very good with their companies.
I'd like to live in Luxembourg because then you get the best of Germany, France, and is a Belgium. Luxembourg is like bang in the middle of those three countries. Half of them speak French and half speak Luxembourg, and then another half. So the three halves. God, I'm a twat.
is
Yes.
pragmatic. And I mean it like methodically
And
pragmatic.
they'd sell cheap
He is
booze.
far, far more
Oh, wait,
ruthless
no,
than like you would
expensive
ever
booze.
guess at the
One
beginning
of
of
the
the
richest
series.
countries in the world,
Because he's
Luxembourg.
always looking at the
Hmm.
bigger picture.
I
These
know.
kill 1,000 to save 10,000. That's Marco.
Jaded says Belgium I normally like a lot, except for a few. You're German. Your taste is weird. I went right. I've been to Belgium a few times. First time I went there, I went to a service station, and all the paintings on the walls were of screaming faces. And at the same service stop, we parked upright, and there was this. I'm sure I've told you this story, but we parked next to this tree, and it was white. Okay, and I didn't think anything of it at first. But I went into the service station with the screaming faces pictures, and I came out, and then just before went, I took a close look at the tree. Right, what was covering the tree? Maggots.
Ugh.
A tree covered in squirming maggots.
Why would they be in a tree?
I don't know. I mean, there might not have been maggots, but it was a small, yeah, white. Just the weirdest service station I've ever been to. Really was. That's my experience of Belgium, and it's very flat. There are no hills in
They have
Belgium.
nice chocolate.
They do have nice chocolate and nice beer. I'll give them that. Jada says best festival in the world happens there. Pukkelpop? Is that the one you're talking? I've been to Pukkelpop in Belgium. I think the year after that is when there was a big stage collapse and quite a few people died, which was uh, tragic. But when I went to Pukkelpop, it was awesome. There were like 9 stages. I saw some awesome bands there.
And there are several points in the story where he's just like, yeah, we can do that. It'd kill a few innocents, but I mean, fuck it, it'd do the job. And that's wild to me because it's true. Like that's how military tacticians and commanders have to be. But they don't really show that in a lot of media. They don't really show
I like
that
this guy.
that is
I know
exactly
that you
how
can't
people
hear him, but
are
he's
in
saying
these scenarios
nice
because
things.
why?
He's not
Because that
Irish.
would make you look like
Why are you asking if he's Irish?
The last guy.
Was he? No, this guy's not Irish. He looks a bit Irish, but he's not Irish. He's American.
bad guy. You know, you're still killing people. It's the trolley situation all over again. Moral ambiguity, but Marco is very much against that. And he also has consequences and stakes, which only reason I'm not going into it with all of these characters is because there's a whole section for it coming up next. So just hold on for a second. And then you have Cassie, arguably
Cassie.
everyone's least favorite member of the bunch.
Oh, arguably everybody's least favourite, Cassie. I mean, it's correct. I do like her. She's probably my second favourite. Probably my second favourite. Uh, her forfeit is nature lover. So if he mentions that, it's one finger.
And that's because she's the most necessary. Cassie is the most inherently good member of the Animorphs. She wants to do the least harm, bring the most good, do the most things right by all. She's very much a tree hugger
Very much a tree hugger. That's nature lover. That's one finger. Drink, everyone.
stereotype, where she just doesn't want to be violent and solves things through nonviolent, pacifistic ways. And it shows how most of the time that only backfires. I mean, at one point in the story, she gives the Yerks, once again the evil aliens, the ability to morph. She
Ultimate
gives one
Fiddle
of them
Play
because she's using it as a
says,
peace
I'll admit
offering.
that
Because
Cassie's my
ultimately
least
they'll
favourite
just leave
character.
everyone alone then
Please
because they
explain
want
why.
a new body.
And
The
also
Yerks
explain
then
who
take that
your
ability
favourite
and
character
use
is.
it as a weapon of war. Peace don't work all the time, Cassie. And she still keeps, like, she's still the moral compass of the group, of course. She's still the one that keeps everyone together and holds their, like, bond, I guess. And Jake really wants to, like, be with her as well.
Jada says, I want to see Puckle Pop for sure. I'm talking Dunk Festival, an atmospheric rock festival, small and super familiar until recently had a fantastic forest sage, but this year will be indoor again. I'd like to take you to a festival someday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it.
By the way, the Deer Hunter are coming here in May. That's our wedding month. Take a look into it. Because I think they were coming in September last year. I think they moved it all forward because it seems to be the same arenas. Yeah, the Jaded atmospheric rock. I'm currently listening to Dredge a lot. Which would you say that's got atmospheric rock sort of thing?
Well, it's rock. I don't know.
Yeah. If I were to recommend you some band, you may have already heard of them. Dredge, Gazpacho, as in the soup Gazpacho, and the Deer Hunter. I know that's not necessarily atmospheric rock, but
I didn't like.
they cover every genre, don't they?
Yeah, Deer Hunter and Dredge are really good.
Deer Hunter and Dredge. You don't like Gazpacho, but
No.
they are atmospheric rock. So if he wants atmospheric rock, that yeah. So if you know any of them, Jaded, yeah. In fact, I'll type them in into the chat. So Gazpacho, Dredge, the Deer Hunter. Check out those bands. Fucking awesome. Well, Gazpacho, I'm sort of on. I'm trying. I bought their latest album just to see if I could get into them. But it definitely counts as atmospheric rock, and the music is very good. It's just the vocals I'm a bit on. Let's carry on.
Because that's his love interest. Because everybody has to love it. Everyone has to have a love interest in these, like, early 90s things. But I think my absolute favorite moment with Cassie, as actually in regards to her I believe saving the life of somebody else. I don't remember the details. I'm very sorry.
Is it Karen?
But she turns into a caterpillar.
Yeah,
And
Karen.
she stays
The
as a
departure.
caterpillar for 2 hours, making her stuck in that form. And so she is now, the term is nothlit, which means that you
Nothlit.
can't turn back. You trapped yourself in that form, whether accidentally or on purpose. And as a caterpillar, she can still thought speak, because they all have telepathy as animals, but she can't turn back into a human. But then she undergoes
I've just noticed that the Chi question was, are the Chi subal agents rather than double agents? I spelt it wrong.
a metamorphosis as a caterpillar, turning into a butterfly. That butterfly, when she hatches, has reset its biological clock, meaning she can turn back into a human. Now, two things. One, that's some Deus Ex Machina shit, but it's so good, because two, just the science behind how caterpillars turn into butterflies is already wild and crazy enough, right? Because caterpillars literally turn into liquid inside of their chrysalis. I mean, they are goo. They are actual liquid goo with the semblance of thoughts and consciousness bouncing around inside. This goo somehow, and science isn't really sure how, this goo somehow reforms into a butterfly and then hatches, and it is a completely different organism than the caterpillar. And the fact that it goes so deep in the Animorphs universe, at least, that it is an entirely different creature with entirely different DNA, is fantastic writing, in my opinion. That is the best way to do a Deus Ex Machina, and I love it.
The best way to do a Deus Ex Machina. When Cassie morphed the caterpillar and stayed for over 2 hours, so she was stuck. But then she turned into a butterfly, which reset the clock. Yeah. I mean, from a sci-fi sense, it's quite interesting. Yeah, I did like that book as well. I think you'll like that one when you get to it.
I remember it.
Yeah, it's good. Really good. And it's got one of the best book covers. Awesome. Yeah, I agree with that.
Adore that. That's great. And then we have Axe, or as his
Axe.
name is actually, Aximili Iskoroth? Aximili Iskoroth Istu.
Escortistil. Why is he put on like an Italian? Actamili escortistil. The pizza pie.
Have any of the people watching listened to any of the audiobooks?
Pebble asks if any of you have listened to the audiobooks. I'm yet to, and you're going to let me listen to them, aren't you?
Yep,
I'm
I
looking forward to that. Why were you going to ask them something?
yeah, well, I want to know what they think of the fifth narrator.
Pebble wants to know what you think about the fifth narrator. So the narrator of the fifth book. Yeah. So if you've listened to that one, tell us what you think of that one. Pebble wants to know.
Is his full name, and for the sake of brevity, we'll just be doing Axe because that's what the Animorphs do. That's what he comes to accept as his name. But the point is Axe is an Andalite. He is one of the aliens who possess the ability to morph and are the ones who are fighting the war with the Yeerks that the humans get caught in, or really that the humans get saved in, if you want to look at it that way. But Axe is alien, and he feels appropriately so, both in the understanding of the way things are and also in how he reacts to certain things. Because, for instance,
This, yeah, that's cluelessness. That's a character trait. That's one finger. Drink.
Axe, as an Andalite, has no mouth, has no blood, doesn't have it. He also doesn't have a sense of taste because he doesn't have a mouth. So when he becomes a human, he gains this new sense. He gains a whole new sense that he didn't know existed, and he's overjoyed by it. And I mean that. Like, there's several times where he's just like, I just love tasting things. I love it. I love chocolate and onions and cigarette butts, and I'm not kidding. Point is that he is blown away by this new sense, and putting myself in that context, in that perspective, I would be too. Imagine, right? Like, we don't have.
Right, everyone. I need the lavatory. So while I'm gone, I'm going to put on this video for you. Animorphs POV, Rachel 4 months in. Hold on, let me just get it in place. By Ripsaw Chelsea. So while I go to the lavatory, please watch this intermission video. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I'm just putting it on. So if it's crap, yell at me in a bit. I'll be right back.
Hi, Rachel. What have you been up to? Or maybe I should ask, what have you been?
Hey, Rachel. Give me a hand here, will you? I didn't see you at school today. I felt kind of sick this morning, so I stayed home.
But you felt better this afternoon, huh? So much better that you decided to morph? How did you get here? Just out of curiosity.
Blue. Is that okay with you?
That bear you morphed yesterday. You went to the gardens and acquired that all on your own, didn't you?
No, I met that bear at the mall.
Okay. And today you ditched school and end up morphing whatever you morphed. An eagle. I saw a bald eagle riding the thermals this afternoon. I should have guessed. It was out for too long, acting like a buzzard. A real eagle would have perched after a while.
It's so nice knowing I have privacy.
That was about noon. If you came here in eagle morph, that would be more than 2 hours. You must have demorphed, then morphed again. You spent the whole afternoon in morph?
Yes, mother.
Don't give me your sarcasm, Rachel. You are acting really weird. That's everyone's business, because if you do something stupid, we could all end up paying the price. You go and acquire a grizzly without backup? You could have been
So
killed.
what? You heard the Elemist? We're doomed. It's going to be Yerks 1, Humans 0. We lose.
It's just
So
audio.
who cares about anything? Who cares if I skip school to go flying?
I don't know, Rachel.
It's like an audiobook sort of thing. Sounds quite interesting. I hope you liked that while I was gone. Jaded says, fucking love Dredge. Favorite songs are Canyon Behind Her. Yeah, that's my favorite. That's the one that got me into Dredge. Yes, Jaded. Bug Eyes, Tanbark, and Zebra Skin. I think Gazpacho and Deer Hunter so far I just heard about. Looking forward to hearing them. Gazpacho, yeah, I'm not that keen. I I'm trying to get it. Deer Hunter, the guy who does Deer Hunter, Casey Crescenzo, is, and you'll probably back me up here. I think he's a modern genius.
He is.
I honestly think he is a modern genius. The way he plays with styles, the things he does, genius. And I don't think I've called any other musicians genius before. My favourite band is Marillion. I've loved them for years. I wouldn't call them geniuses. But Casey Crescenzo, genius. Check out The Deer Hunter, especially their Acts albums. They've done Acts 1 to 5. It's one big overarching story. Fantastic. Ultimate Fiddle Player says, I don't know if you got my chat message about explaining why Cassie isn't my favourite character. I said my comment was too long, but it also seems to have appeared in the chat. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll check it out after this video. Let's get rid of that for now. And let's
One of our
look at
5
this.
senses, right? We consider that a disability. So imagine if there was a 6th sense, a 3rd eye even, but like just another sense that
Oh, then I've got to do something here. I've got to make sure that this is still working. I think I might have done something. I need to go to my studio. It's still streaming apparently. Just making sure because I've clicked a button that I probably shouldn't have pressed. Yeah, it's still there. We're all good. We're all good. So, whew. I thought Deer Hoof at first. Also, really Deer Hoof. My favorite band of all time are Maudlin of the Well and Aerogram. Hold on, I'll just so Deer Hoof, Maudlin. I hope you spelt those right, because else I will struggle. Aerogram. Right, I've sort of put those names aside, and I'll check those out. But yeah, check out the ones I recommended. Also, Marillion. I mean, they're not. They're my favourite band, but they're my favourite band and not many other people's. So just check them out. Canyon Behind Her for me is also one of the best songs ever written. I agree. I fucking love that song. I cannot find the other half. Yes. Awesome song.
we're not aware of at all that we're suddenly given the ability. It'd be like we were living like
Imagine if Dredge did the Animorphs soundtrack. It wouldn't quite fit because it's 2000s rather than 90s, but still.
disabled in a
Honestly, though, the Deer Hunter could pull it off because the Deer Hunter did an act, 5-act thing, which is sort of set in the early 1900s, but they're now working on another concept series from the future, and it's a sci-fi one. They're doing a sci-fi concept thing. The guy does everything. He's great.
state of disablement for the entirety of our lives, and suddenly
Jaded
it can
knows. He
no
knows the
longer
song.
be.
Yes,
And
Dredge.
admittedly, in the human form, for some reason, Andalites lose the ability to thought speak. I don't really know why that is.
By the way, I hate to have to keep pausing it to go on about music, but I read recently that Dredge have got like 2 albums worth of new material. They haven't released anything since 2011, which is an album that most people say is shit, but I actually kind of like it. I do. I do quite like it. But apparently, he did an interview with someone on YouTube recently, Gavin Hayes, and apparently it's going to go a bit heavier than the last album, Chuckles and Mr. Squeezy. But yeah, they're going to be doing new material, so look forward to that, Jaded.
It's not really explained, but the point is that he goes bonanza with it, and then just making sounds with his mouth, repeating words because they sound good to his lips and to his tongue. It's neat. It's a very good concept. And Axe as a character is probably the most complicated, because really, at the end of the day, if there was one Animorph that the story was about, it was about Axe.
Yeah, Jaded, Marillion. I would if you like atmospheric rock, I would recommend Marbles. I'd recommend Marbles, definitely. What other ones have they got that's atmospheric? Maybe Essence, which is the first album of the double album Happiness is the Road, because that's quite atmospheric. But yeah, I'd definitely recommend Marbles. It's got such a variety on it. It's a brilliant album. Dredge reissues Catch Without Arms on vinyl. That's the one that we just started listening to today. I mean, I know that Pebbles listened to it for a while now, but all I've had recently is El Cielo, and I've been like playing it on repeat in the car when I'm going to and from work. And we got Catch Without Arms through the mail the other day, and we just started listening to it, and I really enjoy it. It's a bit more upbeat than El Cielo, so I'm really looking forward to giving that a few spins and getting used to those songs. So what happened with Dredge was I listened to The Canyon Behind It, and that's the only song I ever listened to. I gave a couple of listens to El Cielo and stuff like that, and I never got into it. But then I started listening to The Canyon Behind It again at work, and I thought, oh, let's check out their stuff again. And then it just clicked, and I got El Cielo, the album, and I love it. Favorite songs in that one are Same Old Road, Sanson, Triangle, Woe Is Me, and Canyon Behind It. Those are the 5 songs that I typically play on the way to and from work.
Because Axe has the most at stake, really, because he's had the most at stake the longest. But Axe is torn constantly between staying on Earth and going back to the humans, like siding back with the Animorphs. And most of the time, he doesn't do it. He battles with it. He's just like, oh, well, should I? I'm not an Animorph. And they're like, yeah, you are. He's like, no, screw you, I'm an Andalite. And then he goes to join the Andalites, and that backfires, and he comes back. He's like, he's Morgana from Persona 5, but written better and written more understandably. But the point is that he's complicated. He's never really sure what he fully wants, and he's kind of an arrogant douche a lot of the time too. Like he's not
He's an
necessarily
arrogant douche a lot of the time.
a good
Axe.
person because he's just a jerk.
He's a
But he doesn't mean
jerk.
to be. He's like a rich kid who's got a heart of gold, but he just doesn't know better. And there are a lot of other side characters that have way more depth than I ever would have thought. But, like, for the sake of brevity, I'm not going to go too far into them. You have traitorous Animorphs. You have disabled kids. You have... You have characters like Marco's mom, Ava. Ava is probably my favorite because she's presented immediately as a high-ranking Yeerk, the highest ranking of Yeerk. And he is possessing her body, or it is possessing her body. The Yeerks are genderless by default. So whenever they finally manage to get the Yeerk from Marco's mom is pragmatic and
I think this guy's got a problem with his nose. He keeps rubbing it. I think he's got. I mean, I do it a lot too. I just get like itchy nose syndrome. Well, not itchy, but just like irritated nose syndrome. A lot of times I'll just
Could be a nervous thing.
rub my nose a bit. Yeah, it might be a nervous thing.
conscious enough of the scenario that she knows that if Visser 1, who is the one that was in her brain, were to die, then the next up would be Visser 3. And Visser 3 was a bloodthirsty, warmongering psychopath, where Visser 1 just wanted to understand everything. He wanted to assimilate, not necessarily peacefully, but a lot more peacefully. Less destruction, more coexistence and cohabitation. So she lets him back in. And then later on, she is freed, but then Visser 3 does the exact same thing they were fearing and starts blowing stuff up. Either way, the point is that she is very similar to her son in the way that they're both looking at the big picture, and I love that. I love that. There's also a character named David. He betrays the Animorphs. I think his name was David. Mostly sure. I'm gonna check that later because he has a short little section later.
I'm trying to figure out. I'm listening in to figure out if anything he says is wrong because he's going into a lot of details at the moment.
Because he ends depressing. Which, you know what? Let's just go ahead and get into it. So yes, that character I mentioned, his name is David. David was a character that was introduced to add to the cast of the Animorphs. Sort of. Because he immediately betrays them and runs off with a morphing ability, then is trapped in the body of a rat on an abandoned island, where passerbys in boats can hear his psychic screaming for months afterwards. Already, that's bad enough. But then later on, David somehow finds Rachel. I don't remember how. And he literally begs her, as a rat in thought speak, to kill him. to kill
I'm still convinced. We're talking about the return now, which Jaded, you said was Jaded. Do you think that that actually happened, or do you think that was a figment of Rachel's imagination? I'm not sure if you've seen my review of book 48, The Return, but I theorize that very little of it was actually real, and it was all sort of a half dream thing. At least the first two sections of the book were dream, and then the other part was like a weird reality where Crike manipulated things. And it was sort of a pseudo dream thing where David was there and Vista 3 turned up there at some point. I honestly don't think David was actually there. I don't. I just don't. What do you think?
him to end his life, assisted suicide this. To which, in most books, even adult books, they'd be like, "No, we can save you," or "No, you've learned your lesson," or "No, this blah blah blah." No, Rachel kills him. Like
No,
she just straight kills him.
no, wrong. You can't just say she kills him because we never saw. We never saw the decision that she made. So that's something wrong. That's a drink. Drinky doodles.
And that shows that there are real stakes and consequences, because also a lot of the Animorphs have
Oh, this person's new. Thalok, Avatar of the Larnia. Who would win a Hork-Bajir versus an... I imagine that's supposed to say Andalite. Who would win? Well, Andalite. Yeah? Who would win, Hork-Bajir or Andalite? I suppose it depends on the Andalite. Hork-Bajir are pretty much...
Zack can take like 2 or 3 bucks off.
Yeah, but that's Axe. He's like a trained cadet. If it was like some... If it was a Twitter Andalite, they wouldn't stand a chance. Ultimate Fiddle Player says, in book 48, I think it's pretty safe to assume that Vista 3 wasn't actually there. Yes, I agree. And by extension, do you think David was actually there? The Jaded, I will have to reread once more, but from what I remember, I felt it was at least a Craig made reality. Again, I agree. I don't think David was actually there.
real stakes and consequences to play in the story.
That's why I like that book so much. There's an air of mystery. You don't know, and it's down to your interpretation. You've got to think about it. You've got to use your noggin. It's not like book 51, The Absolute, where it's Marco going to save or talk to the governor of California. The whole thing is just an action sequence. I don't like it. There's no thinking involved. There's none of that. I didn't like that at all. I
Let's
like
start with
thinky
Jake,
books.
because we find out early on that Jake's brother is possessed by a Yeerk. His older brother Tom is possessed by one of the Yeerks, one of the aliens, and that's his motive for fighting. He is invested. But then getting into hard spoiler territory in this section. But then they never save his brother. Never, not once do they fully save his brother. He is never at any point a good guy. They kill him at the end of the story, as a matter of fact. Like, he's dead. And then at one point I mentioned the disabled children.
Noxious
The
camera.
disabled children are children given powers by the Animorphs that cure their disabilities as long as they're not genetic or pre-existing. And so in return, they fight on the side of the Animorphs. Well, Jake cures them and then immediately sends them on a suicide mission. And they die. They die. Like, he kills 17 disabled kids.
Yep.
And, okay, sure. Why not?
Right, I'm gonna have to go to the lavatory again because I've obviously got issues. So I'm gonna leave you with the Rachel 4 months in thing again. But before that, I'll see what people have been saying. I think David might. Ultimate Fiddle Player says, I think David may have actually been brought back in an effort to maybe torment both him and Rachel. I mean, possibly, but I personally just think it was all a Cryek manipulation. Jaded says, I want David to have been there. If he was not, it did nothing for Rachel as a character to me. I disagree. Respect.
Rachel, I don't have any answers. I'm sick of trying to have answers. You decide. I don't want to argue with you. I don't know what your problem is, but you know what? You deal with it.
My dad wants me to move out of state with him. What are you going to do? How can I even think about something that unimportant? I mean, like we don't have bigger things to worry about? The fate of planet Earth and the human race? Different things bother different people. I know how you feel about your dad. He's a jerk for dumping this on me. I mean, it's like, what am I supposed to do? After what happened last night? After all that, I have to decide who I want to hurt, my mom or my dad, and you guys, and
Come on, Rachel. Take it easy. Come on, you're Xena.
no, I'm not some stupid TV character. I'm not some comic book Marco. I'm scared, okay? Just like all the rest of you. I'm scared of what almost happened to me last night. I'm scared just knowing that place exists down there. I'm scared about what happens to me. I just wanted to run away, but I didn't think I could, so I was brave because that's the way I'm supposed to be. But now everyone's going, oh, just come live with me and we'll go to ball games. And hey, forget.
I hope you're enjoying that Rachel 4 months in thing. I've got no idea what it's about, and obviously I haven't actually listened to it. I'll just let you lot listen to it. Right. Any comments? Jada says having to kill Rachel took away the last notion of the Rachel we started with. Cassie giving away the cube was what killed her, literally. We'll go doing groceries once more before the Sunday. Happy to discuss further when I'm back. Sorry, I'm a Hawk budget. I'm not good at English. Gomin. What's going on here? That video is just quotes from book 7. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Derek James Matthew, hello. This Rachel video is good. Thank you very well. Not thank you. Thank you to Ripsaw Chelsea who does that video. Right, let's carry on with this one.
Then Rachel, for another good example, is one of the main characters. Main characters were immune to harm back in the day, especially in kids' media. Rachel dies at the end of the story. And I don't mean like, oh, she just, she dies off screen, they find her body, very Harry Potter. No. They kill her on screen. From her perspective, if I'm remembering correctly.
That is
and
correct.
Then they later on have a scene where Jake has to identify her body and she's cremated. They go through the whole thing, the whole shebang. And the fucked up part is she wanted to die. She wanted to die because she couldn't return to a world where she was not allowed to kill. I mentioned that.
I love the fact that Jake predicted that back in 22. Fucking love it.
Earlier. I mentioned it earlier that she was that into killing, that into murder. But I cannot stress enough that she literally volunteered for a mission that she knew was going to kill her because she could not bear to live in a world that no longer...
Question from Thalok. Has there any Animorphs that transforms into a Hawk Budget? Yeah. All of them. Go read book 34. Read 13. 23. 45. They all morph into Hawk Budget. There's a few books.
Longer allowed her to murder. That's kind of fucking dark. Tobias is trapped as a bird, and as that bird, he goes through a lot, as I've mentioned. But even more, because at one point he's tortured, like in a cage, electrocuted, and stimuli to his brain. And he never gets over that. He actually has real, like, he has to deal with the PTSD.
Don't forget, Luke, that book was shit. Just don't forget it. It was a shit book.
PTSD of these things, and he can't a lot of the time. It's so refreshing to see children's media have growth for these characters. And then you have Cassie. But then Axe also comes...
Wait, what? Then there's Cassie, pause, move on to Axe. Cassie, one of the most dynamic... No, not dynamic. Cassie certainly had character development. if you're looking for a character who didn't have character development, you're looking at Tobias. Possibly, no, not. I mean, book 48 changed Rachel's character, so she actually had some progression. But Tobias, just directionless character development, nothing really.
A lot more.
Don't go saying that Cassie had no character development. Bollocks, mate, bollocks, bollocks.
From the humans and pretty much all of Earth. He comes to understand a lot more and comes to not view himself quite as arrogant or quite as good as everything else. He really develops his moral compass over the course of the series, too. And his older brother, first off, forgot to mention this.
Thalok, are you a... Am I being trolled? I remember an Animorphs book where 3 of the kids morphed into a T-Rex. That's the Transformers toy, mate. What's going on here? Explain yourself. Ultimate Fiddle Player. Tobias is a good character. He had an interesting story. Because I don't think I can relate to Tobias. I'm probably not seeing it, which is understandable. If I can't relate to him, I can't see the road he's going down as clearly as somebody who perhaps relates to him. So yeah, I get it. But from my perspective, I just don't see it. His character development just seems to be pretty aimless. Is he a bird or is he a human? Pebble says he's emo and whiny, which,
Complains all the time and says, "Oh, poor me."
yeah, my thoughts pretty much in a nutshell. And then he's looking for a family, and then he gets his mother back, and then she's just sort of discarded. So what was that all about? Yeah, he's just weird. He's just an emo. What can you say?
Is Tobias's dad. That's revealed at some point. And
And nothing's ever done with
so
it.
because he became a human Nophalit. But then the Ellimist, who is basically God, who we'll get into
That's technically something wrong, but I think he misspoke, so I'm going to forgive him.
in a little bit. But the Ellimist is the one who's the driving force for good. Found Axe's
I
brother.
like the giant force for good. I like the finger quotes there. Derek James Matthews. To be fair though, not a lot of people can relate to Tobias' story because it's pretty dark. Yeah, there are a lot of people that do relate to Tobias. I know a lot of people in the trans community do, which is fair because he's become a bird, but he's not real. He's not a hawk, but yeah. I can see where they come from in that regard, but I don't. I don't. I don't relate to that. But I also don't relate to any of the other stuff he's got going on. Maybe there are people who do. So I don't see it from that perspective. Because I don't see it from that perspective, I don't see the road that he's on. Maybe that's it.
Took him, reverted his time to back when he was an Andalite, erased his memories of Tobias or Tobias's mother, and put him back into war in order to fight with the thing that he's fighting, the evil, whatever. What? It's just like, okay, well then they find that out and they're just like, neat, bro, high five, ha. But it's so impressive that there are real stakes in this show for kids, and I keep saying show, in this book for kids,
There was a show,
for
Luke.
children.
Unfortunately,
There are real stakes. There's a lot at stake even, and it's just fun. It's fun, especially as an older reader, to see how dark it could get, because even at the end of the story, they go to outer space in their new ship, which they named the Rachel. And they find Axe, who has been missing, assimilated into a hive mind known as the One. And they imply that Jake, in his final order of the show, of the written show, orders them to ram into the One's ship. And that's it. We don't know if they live. So it's implied, based on the history of the show, that was the final that was the final order Jake had ever given. And
Not
that's
necessarily.
just cool. Like, I understand it's not for everybody. I understand that for a very long time, dark and gritty became synonymous with bad, but that's cool. That's really cool. So now to kind of talk about just the world in general, because it's very unique, honestly, especially in the way.
Yeah, I really like this guy's analysis. I really do. If you're watching and you haven't gone to his video and liked it, please do. I don't know where these 3 dislikes have come from, but he doesn't deserve them unless he says something egregious in the last third of this video. Might not watch all the way, but we'll see how far we get.
That aliens are presented. So the primary 2 aliens we have are Andalites and Yeerks. Andalites are good, Yeerks are bad. Andalites are hyper advanced, super powerful, and they own most of the known galaxy as far as I'm aware. Yeerks were parasitic slugs living in little monkey host bodies that couldn't see very well. But they were very intelligent, they just had to have a host. So, I'm going to tell the story.
Ultimate Fiddle Player says, I actually read Nanos fan fiction one time that said that the one was actually David and he'd been brought back for revenge against the Animorphs. Yeah, I don't buy that. Nah. I mean, fan fiction you can do whatever you want with. I wouldn't have written that. But they might have done a really good job with it. I don't know. There are a lot of fanfics out there.
Of why the Yeerks are destroying the galaxy right now, or enslaving it. And that's because the Andalites came to their planet, offered them a treaty. For no reason, apparently. They just were just like, hey, yeah, well, I'll ally with you. We'll just, yeah, sure, we're friends. And then after a few years, the Yeerks, quote, rebelled, which is important. That's an important word. And overthrew the Peace Council on the Yeerk homeworld.
And also
Took some
kind
of
of
the Yeerk
like the
bodies,
Dino
some of the
Squad,
Yeerk
but the Animals are a lot
ships,
better. I don't know what the Dino
and
Squad
they
is,
flew off
Falloc.
into space, conquering
Don't know what it
galaxies
is.
and galaxies for their new bodies, or solar systems, either way, for new bodies. And so I wanna go ahead and say that that's a pretty good villain story. Like, they're just parasites. They just want new bodies. They want new hosts. That's good. I can respect that. That's a good reason on its own. But then you look into the word choice, the specific word choice, and the way that things went about, and you start to wonder if the Yeerks were slaves. Because the Andalites, first off, didn't have to reach out and give them a treaty at all. They literally saw a less developed people and went, alright, we're friends now. And the Yeerks had to say yes, or they would have been killed, most likely. But then on top of that, they specifically say the Yeerks rebelled against the Andalites. That's a good word choice.
I would be interested if you'd provide the quote for that, because I don't remember the word rebelled. I don't remember that. If you could point out where that was it in the Andalite Chronicles or the Horbiger Chronicles? I can't remember when it said that the Yeerks rebelled against the Andalites. I can't remember that.
If you're enslaved, not if you're in peace treaty. Like, you're not tied and, like, you're not friends.
He's theorizing that the Yeerks were originally enslaved by the Andalites, hence why they rebelled. Yeah, I don't know where he's getting that quote from, but we'll see what he says.
I don't have to rebel against my friends to do something, you know? But then 3, it gives more motivation for the Yeerks to do the things they're doing because they want to have enough power in order to kill.
Right, I've just received 5 likes. I'll drink a finger to that.
The Andalites to destroy their oppressors. I'm not saying the Yeerks are good guys. I'm saying that the Yeerks are probably not as bad as they're made out to be by our perspective. It's overthinking.
They're pretty bad. I mean, taking over people's brains and using them. Slavery, bad, bad. No, don't like it. Bad. Maybe that's why there are 3 thumbs down. Sort of saying, I don't think they're as bad as they were made out to be. I think total, like, spitting everywhere. I don't think total slavery is good.
What about the fact that every world they go to, they destroy everything?
Pebble just says, what about, just in case you can't hear what she says, what about when they go to the world, they destroy everything there, essentially, isn't it? Yeah,
All the life on it.
yeah. The Yeerks are pillocks and prats.
They are.
Yes, I agree. I think that's a pretty good summation.
It's all it is overthinking. But then there's also a lot of other smaller aliens, and like there's squid aliens who I don't remember. There's itty bitty microscopic aliens that I
Lyra.
don't remember. There's a lot of depth to the world, and then you have characters like the Elemist, who's God. He's basically God. He was a different race of aliens who were all
Do you know what I find strange? I was reading. Oh, it was one of the books of the Chi in it. I was reading it for the Chi-spiracy research. But at one point, I think it was in book 26, the Elmis is talking about how. You remember the Elmis Chronicles, how that went about? Crayak just sort of turned up, didn't he? The Elmist in 26 is saying how Crayak got kicked out of his original galaxy by a creature far more powerful than Elmist or Crayak. Who's that? There's a creature above those two. We never find out who that is. God? The big JC? He gets very cross, you know. Was that cringe? Alright, I'll drink to that. But yeah, there's a creature even more powerful than Elmist and Crayak, but we never ever hear about it. It's crazy. Anyway, drink for cringe.
gamers, and these gamers gamed so hard that the planet was destroyed because nobody else could play their game. And I wish I was kidding, but I'm not. The Elemist and the last remaining members of his people crashed on a moon, and on that moon, a giant sponge tentacle monster. It's sponge because he absorbs memories. And
He's getting
killed-
into details about the Honest Chronicles now, but I think I'm really happy with this guy's video. Do I do the remaining 8 minutes or do I call it there? No, I'll do the remaining 8 minutes. Why not?
everybody.
To answer these 2 points. Ultimate Fiddle Player says maybe it was the one. Little is known about it, and it could have very well been the creature that they were talking about. I doubt it. Why would the creature who's more powerful than Elvis and Crayak be on a blade ship? It just doesn't feel right. Question: the Hawkbajir, do they really respect people with mental health issues? He's saying that the Hawkbajir are I don't know, Thalok. Go ask him.
Other than him. They killed them one by one and absorbed their thoughts and memories as he'd been doing for thousands of years with other races over time. And then he kept the Elemist, who was then known as Tommen, I believe. He kept him
Garlic bread. Do you want garlic bread? No? Okay, we'll save it for next time then.
to play games with him. And he played games and he played games, and eventually the Elemist started winning.
How you
And
doing
then
over there, Sean?
started absorbing the knowledge from him. Also, I just want to point out, the Elemist, that name, is his gamer tag. But he absorbs so much knowledge that he ascends into godhood. But the Elemist discovers a great evil, and they start having a game, because they start battling initially, like they start punching each other like DBZ style. But they're too powerful, and they risk threatening the integrity of the universe of space time. And so they're like, fuck it, let's just use other people. Let's just pick them up and use them, fight them. And they do for the rest of eternity. And the Yeerks and the Andalites are just the current good versus evil struggle that they've been having for their game.
Yeah, the Elmis Craig stuff was
So
weird.
God is playing a game with us. That's the point of this.
Thing is, it's not God because there's somebody above those two. There's somebody above Elmis and Crayak. I think that's what the Elmis said in. I believe it was book 26.
the
I could be wrong,
idea
but it was
is
around
that we will
there.
just play things of God that he
Pretty
can
sure it's
throw
26.
around at his leisure. It's leisure. Also, while we're on the point of just implications of the world,
I need the lavatory again. Don't say, "Oh my God." Alright, right. I'm gonna. Right, ask your questions, guys. I'll go to the lavatory and I'll answer them when I get back. Let's have some more Rachel 4 months in. Be right back.
Get moving to another state. We have a whole other planet for you. And the more exits I see, the more scared I get, all right?
I've been thinking. I'm changing my vote. If the Elemist asks again, I'm going to vote yes.
What? Why?
Rachel's losing it. If she loses it, how long are the rest of us going to last?
Shut up, Marco. I'm not in the mood for your jokes.
Me neither. You know how much sleep I got last night? About an hour. Nightmares. I was a zombie in school today. I feel like my skin has all been rubbed with sandpaper. I'm jumpy. I'm scared. I'm stressed.
It's gonna happen.
This was always insane, right from the start. A handful of kids fighting an alien invasion? Look what's happening. Tobias is trapped in a morph. Rachel is starting to use morphing to get away from her problems. The other night I woke up in bed and I didn't know what I was. I didn't know if I had hands or fins or claws or talons. Maybe you and Cassie are immune, Jake, but I doubt it.
We can't give up.
All we ever do is lose. We annoy the Yerks. Maybe we blow up a ship or have some little success, but the invasion marches on. And all we ever do is barely escape with our lives. We're like some baseball team that never wins a game. And now, according to the Elemist, we know it's going to be a whole losing season. We aren't going to the playoffs.
I don't care. I'm not giving up.
Right, where am I? Oh, good timing, everyone. Let's bring that back over here. Oh, thank you for the 6th like. Awesome. Let's carry on to the end of the video. We're nearly there now.
Things like that. At one
Thank
point,
you
I
for
did
joining the
mention
live
that
stream, by the way.
Tobias
Hope you've
really
enjoyed it.
wanted to have sex with a female red-tailed hawk.
Oh, why are we talking about sex now? Where's this? I forget where we were. Why is the first word I hear sex? That's naughty talk. To finish the drink. Sorry. We'll see how far we get. Drink, everyone.
This is something that raises a lot of concern because it means that all of the other Animorphs really want to have sex with animals.
What? Where's the? I need to know the context of this. All I'm hearing is it means that the animals all want to have sex with animals. That's what I've just started with, and I'm like, what's the context of this?
Is playing a game with us. That's the point of this. That's the idea. Is that we are just playthings of God.
We're just playthings of God.
Throw around at his leisure.
He gets to throw around at his leisure.
His leisure. Also, while we're on the point of like
Point.
implications of the world and things like that, at one point I did mention that Tobias really wanted to have sex with a female red-tailed hawk.
Okay.
This is something that raises a lot of concern because it means that all of the other Animorphs really want to have sex with animals. And that's I'm not gonna go further than that, but I'm gonna let you picture that because I didn't want you to have a good night. But while we're on the concept of morphing, the cube, known as an epsilon,
There's no context to it. What the fuck? He's just saying like, oh, the Alamus is like playing them as pawn pieces. By the way, remember when I mentioned that Tobias wants to have sex with a red-tailed hawk? It brings to mind the fact that it's almost like the animals want to have sex with animals. Anyway, the Escafil device. What? What's going on?
Book 3, his hawk side felt like he should go with the female hawk, but he didn't. The human part of him didn't. That's not saying he wants to.
But then he said the Animorphs just. That's 2 fingers, so I've got to open the next drink. That's the rules. Don't roll your eyes at me. You last time kept making me drink for cringe. I wasn't being cringe. I'm never cringe. But that's naughty talk, and without context, I don't know what's going on. So that's 2 fingers. I'll just let the head on this one settle. Let's carry on for now.
Epskillian device, something. I'm gonna call it the cube.
The cube.
The cube is how they gain the ability to morph, and the cube is explained fairly well, honestly, because basically it uses cellular regeneration technology, which is a load of shit for modern or even especially like 90s technology. Basically, it could rapidly generate cells.
90s reference, that's 3 fingers. So I owe 5. I'm just letting the head on my drink calm down. How the bloody hell? That's just
and it
Thank
would
you.
store excess matter or your excess
Hope
matter
you're all
because
right,
it's
by
no
the way. Hope
longer
you're
in
enjoying.
a different pocket dimension known as Z space, which is basically hyperspace because it can be accessed by ships. And it pulls this matter, this mass, whenever you morph, or it stores it. Either way, that matter is used and distributed to fit the morph. And that is surprisingly well thought out for a kid's book from the 90s, you know? Like, that's surprisingly detailed and intricate. And I kind of love it, just because it's so unnecessarily detailed. Also, the fact that there are also espers or epscons or something, basically naturals at morphing. And they talk about
Espers or Escons, naturals at morphing. I forget. Estrine. You remember it? I didn't remember it. When was that? In the fourth book when Axe was talking about who? Estrid. Oh yeah, yeah. Sorry, Everest popped into my head then. Edris. So many alien names. It's hard to keep track sometimes. Estrine, yeah. Looking forward to Kitty tomorrow. I am. I'm looking forward to him arriving. By the way, just for context, I know we talked about it, but he's an old cat. We're he's 15 years old, but we saw him at this sanctuary. Thank you, Pebble. And we were looking for a cat. His owner's passed away, and came in with his friend who was taken from him. So he's on his own. He's grumpy. He's miserable. He reminds me of myself. And this woman who worked there was just saying how everyone just ignored him because of his age, and I don't care. Yeah, but I looked at him and thought, he's an old git, and everyone just bypasses him. I want to give him a good last few years. His name's Tigger, and we're not going to change his name. And so hopefully in the future we'll see him on this cat tree over here in the video. But he hissed at you when you were nearby, but as soon as you got near him, he was fine. So we're rescuing a cat, and I couldn't be happier. Thalok, yes, I'm enjoying this one, but thing is, how the HR Geiger did he get having Snoo Snoo with a red-tailed hawk from Cube in the name of the Great Spirit that grows and out of nowhere? Snoo Snoo. That's what? The Amazon. Snoo Snoo. Nice one, Thalok.
about how these morphers can do it
Oh, I owe
like
5
that. They can
fingers.
do it fast. And Cassie, for instance, in the Animorphs, is one such individual. There's another character that's mentioned, and she is
5
called
fingers,
a
drink.
morph dancer because she can morph so fluidly and rapidly between each of her forms that it looks like she's dancing. You get my point. It's really cool, and I like it a lot. So with all of this praise, you may be thinking, "Oh well, Luke, is it perfect? It sounds perfect." And
By the way, Astrius, if you're still driving, look out for the car behind you. It's carrying a bomb, and it's a Honda Jazz and shit. Play the
I really wish I could say it was. Even like contextualizing it for a younger audience, I wouldn't say it's perfect. It's great. Do not mistake me. It is a
He's got a Doge in the background. Doge.
solid 9 out of 10, but it is
See?
not perfect. Due to the Ghost Rider situation,
Got a doggy
I
in the
mentioned before,
background.
there's a lot of small inconsistencies that slow
Astrius says he just got home actually on the PC now. Well, hello. I hope you've been listening to the banter. The ultimate banter. The banter. I'm not drunk. You're drunk. We went to an Italian restaurant. Awesome place. Our favorite restaurant, Positano's in Plymouth. Fucking fantastic. The food is awesome. The place has been there for decades, isn't it? Everyone it's always busy. But you had what? One glass of rosé, was it? And halfway through, you were fliddle daddling and waddle wobbling and sorry, you were it was Prater. You were drunk. And I had to drive you home in your drunken state. But yeah, if anyone's ever in Plymouth, Positano's Italian restaurant, fucking oh, it's that yeah, it's fucking Italia. Carry on. You owe 5 UB. No, not your UBs. Ho purgatory that wired. This guy's tipsy.
I think he's probably doing voice to text holders.
I don't know what's happening. Falloc is a creature of another world.
Really add up. Like injuries during morphing and how they affect your real body. You have the best example of the whether you heal or you don't heal during the morph is when Axe talks about how most Andalites would rather die than live without their tail. But with the humans, if they morph into something and then morph back, they heal. So why doesn't that work for Andalites? Is it just a difference in biology? Because I think it's
Because the
not.
series
Like,
is not perfect and
and
it's
then from
inconsistent.
there, you
And
also have a
sometimes they
question
just
that
get things wrong.
I'm curious about, which is why can't humans use thought speak? Humans are just another form of animal, and it's not an intelligence factor because Yerks are intelligent, humans are intelligent, Andalites are intelligent, but 2 of those can use thought speak, and 1 of them can't. And
Falloc
I
is a
don't
horror for
know
Magic the
what
Gathering. Never played it,
is the
mate.
reason for
Don't
separating
know
it,
what
unless
you're
it's
talking
vocal
about.
speech. But even then, I think there's still, I think there's still aliens that use vocal speech other than humans. There may not be. That may be the reason. Don't really accept that. That's a bad reason, but I mean, it's still something, at least if that's the case. But the point is there's a
Falloc
lot of
says
inconsistencies. There's also a lot of
Adelites are wusses.
Right, he's drunk.
So he's drunk. Have I gotten him drunk? I've gotten him drunk, everyone. I've succeeded in my mission. Sorry, Thalok. That's what happens when you watch my show. You get drunk, you get pissed, you get leathered. Huh?
Next live stream, if you slam on your desk, that's 2 fingers.
Next live stream, if I slam on my desk, that's 2 fingers. Bollocks. Or chair. What if I slam on myself?
So 2.
As of next live stream, not today. So I can slam all I want.
Stop!
Stop. Canadians.
tonal incongruency. It'll go from like, the horrors of war have taken us. They're too much to bear. We are no longer children. We are warriors. To, guys, holy shit, this cigarette butt is delicious. Nom, 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 nom.
Yes, your black manna got me hunfundowed. What does that mean? Have I legit got this guy drunk? I must have done. Leave a like on the video for me getting this guy drunk.
No. Like that kind of thing, you know? Like it's very bouncy with how it presents its topics. It doesn't want to stay dark for too long, but it also doesn't want to not be funny. And also, it's very 90s. Like, it's very 90s. There's a lot
Oh,
of
90s reference again. That's 3
old
fingers.
gender
I'm just
stereotypes.
rolling a
that
cigarette.
don't
I'll
really
get to
hold
it.
up that well. There's a lot of old, just ways
I know
of
cigarettes are
talking.
bad for
Most
me.
of it very much is definitely written from the perspective of an adult who thinks they know what kids sound like.
Don't do cigarettes, kids. There we go. Is that better? Right, okay. Thalok says, drunk, it's Japanese for drunk. Yeah, this guy's from another fucking dimension. I don't know what's going on here. But I owe 3 fingers for 90s reference. Give me a second. Roll myself a cigarette for the post live stream cigarette. What the hell does Yubi mean? I think this guy's into his manganese things.
Like,
Is that a word?
not knocking the writing, because for the time, for that age, it was good. but it's just very, very tropey in a
Three
lot of
fingers,
ways. And
drink.
it's not really something I hold against it, but it doesn't, it keeps it from being perfect. Perfect can't, would, let me try that sentence over. That sentence wasn't perfect. But perfect can stand the test of time. Animorphs largely does, but not all of it. That being said, I think I would 100% recommend these books to a young reader trying to get into sci-fi, or just trying to read something new or exciting in general, because they are interesting, unique, powerful, really, whenever you get down to the core concepts. Books that I feel like are fading from the public consciousness, other than the wacky covers. And so I just legitimately
Excuse me,
believe
about to sneeze.
that anyone who is starting out in their reading adventure should consider these books.
He's rubbing his nose again for the outro. What's this outro? What the hell is happening?
Also, fun fact, there was at one point a line of toys for the Animorphs that flopped so hard, they actually had to rebrand them as Beast Wars toys. They were the Beast Wars Mutants line. And there was a red Andalite in the Beast Wars Mutants line who was called Inferno Creature. But Inferno was already a character in Beast Wars. So they just fucked up everyone. They just fucked up everyone. I didn't know where to put this in the video, so I just felt like I'd put it at the end. I should cover Beast Wars at some point. That'd be cool.
That was awesome. So that's the end of the video. Luke, awesome job. Great video. Thalok says he's drunk. Yes. And he's hissing. That's what our hog-nosed snake does. And our old kitty. Thank you everybody for watching. I'm nicely tipsy. I wouldn't say I'm massively drunk, but until I stand up I won't know. Yeah, that was fun. Luke, great video. And if you have been watching, please go see this video and leave a like on the video. I don't know why it's got 3 dislikes. Let's, leave likes to counter that. Yeah, probably, but whatever. It was a strange thing to say, but when you ad lib, sometimes things do sound weird. It's just natural. Yeah, Thalox exploded, so it's a good time to end the video. Thank you everybody for watching. It's been good fun, and as far as I can see, there've been no errors in this live stream. It's actually just been clean through. It's great. I haven't had to restart it or anything. It's great. Thank you very much for watching. Next week it should be a 6 o'clock video on Saturday with Raptor. If not, if he has to delay for whatever reason, it will be another 9 p.m. GMT live stream. I will update you. I will leave something in the community bit, whatever. Thank you very much for watching. I shall see you next time. Ta-ra!